and everything. Now let's talk about now. Let's dig into the fun part, the part I've been wanting to talk about. Now I had to get all that little part out of the way for y'all, so I can talk about the stuff I really want to talk about now, and that is the origins. According to the Roman martyrs, the holiday may be named after two men named Valentine's Day who were executed by Roman Emperor Claudius II in the third century. Now, according to the pagan festival origin, some say that Valentine's Day has roots in ancient Roman festival of Lupercalia, a fertility festival that involved animal sacrifices. Now, in the Christian effort, the origins say that the day was a Christian effort to replace the pagan festival. Now, here's a development. For Saint Valentine's Day, the Catholic Church Day that honored the martyrdom of the two men by establishing Valentine's Day. The holiday became popular as a celebration of love in the 14th century. In the King Henry VIII. Hello, hello, hello. My name is Brittany, and this is Sassy Southern Belle. Um, Today we are going to be talking about one of my most favorite holidays of the whole year. If you can hear the sarcasm in my voice, then you know, then you know. Anyone that knows me knows I hate Valentine's Day with a passion. In fact, there's only one Valentine's Day that I will talk about, and I also made a shirt with that Valentine's Day on it. Don't judge. We listen and we don't judge. Um, here's the thing. If you're new here, hit that like button, ring that bell for notifications. Also, please subscribe. I'm gonna put that out briefly now. Saying I hate Valentine's Day more than any other holiday of the year. Like Halloween's my favorite holiday, but if I had to choose my least favorite holiday, it would be this one right here. For crying out loud. Um, Here's why I don't like Valentine's Day. Commercialization. It's been overly commercialized. Too much. And not even once New Year. It's like we we can't even get past Christmas without Valentine's Day stuff coming out, and I'm like, oh my gosh, guys, please let's just get through Christmas. Like I'm one of those I believe every holiday needs this month, and I even unfortunately like that with Valentine's Day. Like I could do without Valentine's Day if I'm being honest. Like and everything, but there's a dark origin and that is often romanticized. Like oh he died. Well he died for love, so it's okay, right? But any other time we would look at a person and be like, "Oh, you died for that? Why?" Like our most judgmental faces whatsoever. And I'm saying that with the true crime blanket behind me, like on my wall. Um, Unrealistic expectations. Like girls get like men and women get this like fantasy about like, oh well, this is how I want my Valentine's Day to go. This is how I want this Valentine's Day to go. And I'm like, he's gonna bring me flowers and chocolates and all of this. And I'm like, he's gonna come take me out to like this fancy dinner and all of that. And I'm like, and then they get disappointed when their fantasies don't live up to their expectations. And most of the time, all a guy's looking for is someone just to have sex with on Valentine's Day. Nothing else. Now, there's the few who actually do mean it and celebrate it, but still, it's just these unrealistic expectations that go with Valentine's Day. There's the unnecessary need to be expensive. Like, here's the thing, guys, go out and buy the most expensive expensive presents for women. Women, same thing with the guys. Like, I know some guys like it, and I'm not speaking for the guys, but I'm not speaking for all women either. But here's the thing. Some women don't want roses, some don't want the chocolates, some don't want the whole 9 yards, some just want your time and attention. And unfortunately, if we had to make it one day of the year for an excuse for you to do it, then I guess y'all have to be like that, I guess. Also, another reason why the sudden need to make this day romantic out of any other day of the year. Why the hell this day? Like, why do we want to make Valentine's Day this February 14th the most romantic day of the year? Why can't we do that the rest of 364 days of the year? Honestly, or 365, depending on if it's a leap year. For crying out loud! Make the day special no matter what the day is, for crying out loud. And here's the thing. If I have to celebrate Valentine's Day, if I ever have to, here's my three options. One, don't. Wait, just don't celebrate it. You don't have to celebrate Valentine's Day. Unless you're dating someone who likes Valentine's Day, then that's a conversation you guys can have. Second, watch Scarface. That ties a lot into my third option I'm gonna tell you if I have to celebrate it. The St. Valentine's Day Massacre. And it's the only Valentine's Day I like. Yes, because it's bloody. And it's also a true crime case. And I like Al Capone. Yeah, I'm odd. Just say it, spare your judgment, we all notice. But we listen and we don't judge. Oh, you can judge all you want, I don't really care. But anyway, let's suggest some date night suggestions for those um who hate Valentine's Day and not really a Valentine's Day fan. Um, Game night. Play board game, card games, or video games at home. Cooking classes. Learn a new recipe together and enjoy a meal afterward. Local exploration. Visit a new neighborhood, try a different restaurant, or explore a local market. Outdoor activity like go for a hike, bike ride, or walk in the park. A movie marathon. Pick a genre you both enjoy and binge watching movies at home. A DIY night. Try this together. Here are some relaxing and rejuvenating options. Spa day, at home spa, stargazing, scenic drive, or just doing galentines like hang out with the girls. Um, Here are some important things to remember, especially when you are one of those who hates celebrating Valentine's Day. Communicate openly. Discuss with your partners likes and dislikes about Valentine's Day and plan a date they'll enjoy. Focus on their quality time. Make the day about spending a meaningful um time together rather than grand gestures. Personalize it. Incorporate shared memories, hobbies, or inside jokes onto the date. Avoid the pressure. There's like this unnecessary need to have pressure on Valentine's Day. Unnecessary. So many unnecessary pressures that we have to have. And everything. Now let's talk about now. Let's dig into the fun part, the part I've been wanting to talk about. Now I had to get that all that little part out of the way for y'all, so I can talk about the stuff I really want to talk about now, and that is the origins. According to the Roman martyrs, the holiday may be named after two men named Valentine's Day who were executed by Roman Emperor Claudius II in the third century. Now, according to the pagan festival origin, some say that Valentine's Day has roots in ancient Roman festival of Lupercalia, a fertility festival that involved animal sacrifices. Now, in the Christian effort, the origins say that the day was a Christian effort to replace the pagan festival. Now, here's a development. For Saint Valentine's Day, the Catholic Church Day that honored and marched on of the two men by establishing Valentine's Day. The holiday became popular as a celebration of love in the 14th century. And the King Henry VIII in 1537 made it made Valentine's Day a holiday. Dude, if you already had 8 wives, come on, why'd you have to torture us for giving us this holiday? And everything. Before you say I am one of those guys, I love romance. I don't like the fact that you have to choose one day out of the whole year where you have to force people to be romantic. Just for them to just look for someone to probably hook up with at the end of the night. Like, you have 365 days or 366 days out of the whole year. Like, why? 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 But here's a couple of legends. Like, there's Valentine and Julia. And legend says that Valentine wrote a love letter to Julia, who was a young girl he tutored. Um, and while he was in prison, and the letter was signed from your Valentine. Please hit the sarcasm in my voice. Valentine's Day. Another legend says that Valentine's Day secretly married couples in defiance of the emperor's wishes. And that's the origin a lot of people know. And everything. Now, what about some of the symbols? Well, St. Valentine's Day is often depicted in red clothes, holding a palm branch, which symbolizes martyrdom, and also has the shown wearing a priestly clothing and carrying a cross on the book. Now, have y'all heard the song by Carrie Underwood, Cupid's Got a Shotgun? Trust me, that's how I feel sometimes. Cupid has a shotgun for me. And first of all, how did Cupid even come about on Valentine's Day is what I want to know. Let's see if we can find out real quick, shall we? Come on. My phone's being ridiculous. And my laptop is being even more ridiculous. So, according to this, Cupid is the Roman god of love, desire, and attraction, and is the counterpart of the Greek god Eros. And the origin is Cupid is the son of Venus, the Roman goddess of love, and Mars, and the Roman god of war, who is the Roman god of war. So, love and war. I guess that makes somewhat some sense. The name Cupid comes from the Latin verb capere, which means desire or lust. I should sound more excited. I know I should. Cupid is often depicted as a winged infant carrying a bow and quiver of arrows. Cupid, you're gonna need more than arrows for me, just saying. Um, in relation to Euros, Cupid is the Roman version of Eros, the Greek god of love. In the Greek art, Eros is depicted as a slender winged man, and during the Hellenistic period, Eros was increasingly portrayed as a chubby boy. Now, what about the symbolism? Well, Cupid is a figure of contradictions, a symbol of conflict and desire. Sounds about like love. Um, Cupid's combination of baby's body with a lethal weapon symbolized the invincibility of love. Like love conquers all, I guess. Now the depictions Cupid was a favorite of artists and authors during the Renaissance. Um, Caravaggio's Cupid in 1602 showed a young nude boy with wings and a bow, and Cupid is depicted naked because love has nothing to hide. Sorry, guys. Now, Valentine's Day, Cupid is linked to Valentine's Day at the turn of the 19th century. Of course. Now, let's talk about the dark origins of Valentine's Day. Okay, this is the part where I really want to dive into, okay? Um, Valentine's Day is a time to celebrate romance and be a loving kissy face. Yeah, sorry. I don't do PDA. Y'all are probably wondering, some of you guys are probably wondering, I bet you're a catch in a relationship. I really am. So, screw it. Um, but the origins of this festival of candy and Cupid is actually dark and bloody and a bit muddled. Though there is no pinpointed exact origin of the holiday, one place to start is the ancient Rome. Now the Roman celebrations were violent. From February 13th to 15th, the Romans celebrated the feast of Lupercalia, where the man sacrificed a goat and a dog, then whipped women with the hides of the animals they had just slain. And the Romans romantics were, quote, drunk and they were naked, unquote. Now Nora Linsky, who is now a religious professor at Yale University, would tell that to NPR in 2011. Now, young women would line up to men and then hit them. What the hell? This is what we celebrate? And they believed this would make them fertile. Now, the brutal feat included a matchmaking lottery in which young men drew the names of women from a jar, and the couple would be coupled up for the duration of the festival or longer. If the match was right, the ancient Romans may be responsible for the name of the modern day love. Emperor Claudius II executed two men, both named Valentine. And on February 14th, on different years of the 3rd century, their martyrdom was honored by the Catholic Church with the celebration of St. Valentine's Day. Y'all, I'm a Christian, and I hate Valentine's Day with a passion. You don't know how much I hate Valentine's Day. But anyway, as the holiday spread, it evolved, and later Pope Gelasius I muddled things in the 5th century by combining St. Patrick's Day with Lupercalia to expel the pagan rituals. But the festival was more theatrical interpretation of what it has once been. It was basically a little bit more of a drunken revel, but the Christians put clothes back on it. Then being a day didn't stop it from being a day of fertility and love. Look, y'all, my nephew is a Valentine's Day baby for crying out loud. I'm just throwing that out there. He's just saying. He was born in November. Yeah, 9 months for Valentine's Day, and I'm waiting for the 9 months for Valentine's babies to pop up. You know what I'm talking about. But anyway, around the same time, Norman celebrating Galatians Day, and that meant lover of women. And this was likely confused with St. Valentine's Day at some point, in part because they sound alike. And as the years went on, the holiday grew sweeter. Chaucer and Shakespeare romanticized it in their work, and it gained popularity throughout Britain and the rest of Europe. Handmade paper cards became the tokens of the jar in the Middle Ages. Eventually, the tradition made its way to the New World, and Industrial Revolution ushered us the factory-made cars in the 19th century. And in 1913, the hallmark cars of Kansas City, Missouri, do not get me started on why I think the Chiefs are overrated, um, began a mass production of Valentine's Day. February has not been the same since, and I agree. That's the dark origin of Valentine's Day. Yeah, we choose to, like, you guys, come on now. I'm not completely against love. I'm not against love, guys. I hate Valentine's Day. Just clarifying. But let's talk about my favorite day in history, favorite Valentine's Day. The only one I like. And here's that day, February 14th, 1929. Do we want to guess what day that is? Do we really? I talked about this earlier. I have a shirt for it that really want to get, so I want to be like, see if people catch on to that day. But the St. Valentine's Day Massacre shocked the world February 14th, 1929, when Chicago's North Side erupted in gang violence. Now, gang warfare ruled the streets of Chicago during the late 1920s as chief gangster Al Capone sought to consolidate control by eliminating his rivals. Now, this rash of gang violence reached its bloody climax in the garage on the city's north side on February 14th, 1929, when seven men associated with the Irish gangster George Bugs Moran, one of Capone's longtime enemies, was shot to death by several men dressed as policemen. And the St. Valentine's Day Massacre, as it will be henceforth known, remains an unsolved as to and was never officially linked to Capone, but he is generally considered to have been responsible for the murders. Now let's talk about the rise of Scarface with Al Capone in Chicago. From 1924 to 1930, the city of Chicago gained a widespread reputation for lawlessness and violence, and not coincidentally, this phenomenon coincided with the reign of the chief crime lord, Al Scarface Capone. I know I shouldn't be smiling, but this is a true crime case I love talking about. But he basically took over from his boss, Joni Terrio, in 1925, and prohibition ushered into the passage of the 18th Amendment in 1920, and it had greatly increased the earnings of the American gangsters through bootlegging, as well as gambling and prostitution. Capone's income from three activities were estimated about 60 millions a year, and his net worth in 1927 was around 100 million. Imagine how much that would be today. Now, here's a fun fact. Did you know that Bugs was on his way to a garage in Chicago at the same time the St. Valentine's Day Massacre? He missed getting killed by minutes. A few days later, he told reporters only Capone kills like that. And, and reached out his Florida home to comment on the murders, and Capone offered his own opinion. The only man who kills like that is Bugs Moran. So basically, this was just a contest between two men, basically. But over the years, Capone consolidated control over Chicago's crime rackets by ruthlessly gunning down his rivals. In 1924, authorities counted some 16 gang-related murders, and this brand of slaying continued until 1929, until his high of 64 murders that year. And federal authorities, including the FBI, had much less jurisdiction than they have today, and did not include Chicago's gang-related activities. Now, here's a question. What did Al Capone eventually go to jail for? Go to prison for? I really want to see Alcatraz so bad. So bad. But my friend Tandy went to San Francisco and she got to see Alcatraz like from the bridge and everything. From the bridge and everything, I was so jealous of her on that one. But anyway, now Chicago's gang war reached its bloody climax in the so-called St. Valentine's Day Massacre of 1929. One of Capone's longtime enemies, the Irish gangster Judge Bugs Marin, ran his bootlegging out of the 2122 North. There we go. Now, police could not find any eyewitnesses, but eventually concluded that the gunman dressed as police officer had entered the garage and pretended to be arresting the man, though Morin and the others immediately blamed the massacre on Capone's gang. Now, what is the prohibition of organized crime? I also want to know this remains one of the biggest unsolved cold cases in history. Let's go ahead and add that. I love a good cold case. Now, the prohibition organized gang um basically put the organized and organized crime. Kingpins like Capone were able to rake in 100 million each year thanks to the overwhelming business opportunity through illegal booze. And Al Capone was widely believed to have ordered the hit. Now, American First Lady Jackie Kennedy was staying in a room in the White House called a tour of the White House. Just a little fun fact, y'all. Now, downfall of Public Enemy number one is though the St. Valentine's Day Massacre marked the end of any significant gang opposition for the Capone's rule in Chicago. It can also be said to have marked the beginning of the downfall. With his highly effective organization, his impressive income, and willingness to ruthlessly eliminate his rivals, Capone had become the country's most notorious gangster, and newspapers dubbed him Public Enemy Number One. And federal authorities began investigating Capone after he failed to appear before a federal grand jury being subpoenaed, March 1929. When he finally appeared to testify, the FBI agents arrested him for contempt of court. He posted bond, obviously, and was released to be arrested in Philadelphia in May on charges of concealed weapon, where he was served 9 months in prison and was released on good behavior. In February 1931, a federal court found him guilty in contempt charge up to 6 months in Cook County Jail. Meanwhile, the U.S. Treasury Department had launched an investigation into his income tax evasion through diligent forensic accounting. Special Agent Frank Wilson and other members of the intelligence union of the IRS were able to put together a case. And in June 1931, Capone was indicted for evasion of federal tax income and convicted. That October, in internationally publicized trial, he was sentenced to 11 years in prison, first in Atlanta and later in Alcatraz, where he was released in 1939 and died of an invalid recluse of his Florida home in 1947. Interesting way to die, honestly, but if you ask me. Now, that being said, I really just wanted to talk about some fun, some very shocking Valentine's Day superstitions I found out real quick, okay? Y'all know I love a good superstition. And just to talk about it, just go my Down the Rabbit Hole podcast. You can truly find me talking about these kind of superstitions and everything else. And urban legends. So here's the first of them. The early word. Take a good notice at the first bird you see on Valentine's Day, as it may offer a hint what your future other half, a type of magic known as ornithopsy. If you spot a sparrow, you'll marry someone poor. You'll see a goldfinch, and you'll hit the jackpot with a billionaire. A robin flying in the sky suggests you'll end up with a sailor. A blackbird means you'll marry a clergyman. A flock of doves promises a long and happy marriage. Stumble upon an owl or a woodpecker first thing in the morning, however, you are destined to stay single. I must have stumbled across that owl a long time ago when the first thing in the morning, or even a sparrow. Um, Even ghostly, not ghostly going on. It's like that would be a perfect date for me, honestly. But Halloween and Valentine's Day join forces for a superstitions tradition of old, which was the gutsiest of the girls had to go to head to their local graveyard at midnight, February 13th, and there they would run around the church 12 times, chanting a procluded poem, um, that hoped to conjure a ghostly visit to the man that they were going to marry. Interesting. Um, Roses are red. If your partner presents you with a big bunch of roses on Valentine's, take note of the colors. Red roses symbolize eternal love and passion in the language of flowers, while pink signify admiration and appreciation, perfect for the earlier days of relationships. Yellows reflect friendship, happiness. Orange roses suggest desire and enthusiasm, and lilacs represent enchantment and love at first sight, while white roses are often to convey sympathy and peace, but they often also symbolize love. If your partner has a penchant for all those gothic, then you'll find some black roses in your collection, and they may be linked to death or revenge. But they can also symbolize obsession or deep connection. Now, the apple of your eye. This is also a superstition. And you start reciting names of your potential spouses while twisting the stem of an apple, and this may snap upon the name of the person that you'll marry. If you need more life spoilers, cut the apple in half and see if deceased to find out how many children you'll have. Okay, this actually sounds pretty fun. Cause I remember, like, do y'all remember when you were a kid how we used to take the apple and we do A B C D E F G, go just basically do the alphabet, and then when whatever letter that's name of the person we were gonna marry. That's actually pretty cool though. I actually might have to try that. Just just for giggles, right? Now, herbs before beds are an egg. Now, folklore once had it that if a girl placed a sprig of fragrant rosemary under her pillow, she would have to see the man she would later marry in her dreams. 5 bay leaves, one pinned to the corner and a fifth of the middle, was thought to have a similarly prophetic effect. Now, in the late 18th century, it was said that eating an egg on Valentine's Day Eve would ensure that whoever you dreamt of the night before will walk through the aisle within the coming year, down the aisle with you in the coming year. For this to be effective, you had to boil the egg, take it out of the yolk, fill the hole with salt, including the shell. Oh, and you had to stay silent until morning. So unless you were in a hurry, to suggest plumping for the herbs. Now here's the thing: I hate the smell of boiled eggs. Ah, that's why I can't do Easter eggs. I can't stand the smell of eggs. Don't judge. We listen and we don't judge. But here's another one from your secret admirer. Now this one comes from the Victorians, and they considered it bad luck to sign your name on Valentine's Day card. Instead, they would mysteriously sign with the letters XOXO. But from your secret admirer in the popular alternatives. Now, should you receive an unsigned card and find yourself frequently hoping it came from your crush, jot their name down onto a slip, place under your pillow, and recite it the following form. If he who sent this Valentine is named above mine, I pray good saint that this line may be divine. May his name divine. Now another one is Dawn Delights. If you prefer to wake up early and go to bed late, skip the midnight cemetery trip mentioned. Position yourself by the window before sunrise on Valentine's Day. Wait patiently because the first man who passes by will look just like your future husband and might even be the one. Now, if you live somewhere rural and chances are fine suitors strolling past your house are slim, or they might be trying to kill you. Let's just be honest. Or try counting how many animals you see at first sight. This will tell you how many years it will be until you are married. Um, double your luck. Um, this humble. How many of you know the four-leaf clover? Well, this can also be used for Valentine's Day as much as it is used for St. Patrick's Day, which I plan on talking about that one a little bit later. But but finding one in your shoe on Valentine's Day during the morning took the meaning of fortune to a higher level. Single ladies who did this were destined to be led to love their life that day. Either their soulmate or a man who sh- or soulmate or a man or shared his name. We have two more superstitions left, I promise y'all. And here's this one, out of the woods. If you have a taste for the finer things in life, try your best not to come across a squirrel on Valentine's Day. Though sweet, they symbolize marriage or to a cheapskate. And cheapskates don't like to buy luxury flowers to their partners, so try avoiding those in nearby woodland areas to be safe. There's nothing wrong with being cheap. Hey, I'm a cheap person, I will admit that. Um, in the last one, heart on your sleeve. The quite literal saying to wear one's heart on their sleeve comes from a medieval Valentine's Day ritual that saw the name of a local spinster's drop into a hat for a romantic raffle. Each of the town's bachelors would then pick a name, pin it to their sleeve for a week to take it to the lady as a Valentine. Many couples became husband and wife 7 days later. Nothing says I love you quite like roses, but you'll find a bouquet of all tastes studying in your range. But that is it for this episode. I will see y'all next time. Y'all do have a happy Valentine's Day. I'm not completely against love. I just don't like Valentine's Day. So if you enjoyed this episode, thank you. If not, and you found it offensive, wear a helmet. Life's tough.